This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Pick up a new skill or just learn more about things like science, math, engineering, computer science, and so much more thanks to Brilliant's accessible and interactive courses. Click below to try it for free and get a 20% discount on an annual subscription. More details after the video.
All right, let's begin by going to the voice of the people and seeing what they thought of the Summer Games Fest. We will rely on Geoff Keighley's tweet poll where he actually asked people, and the results are not good for Geoff. He probably shouldn't have tweeted out that poll, but much respect to him for just, putting it out there. Interesting to note, Geoff did open by talking about layoffs. And this is something he got a lot of criticism for in the past because he's kind of made like a little hand wavy kind of comment at the beginning of the Game Awards, hasn't really talked about it much this year. So he came out on stage and, we should just play what he said because I think it's worth listening to.
But let's also face it, this has been a tumultuous and difficult year with company layoffs and studio closures, which have disappointed all of us. But there's also something else happening. Our industry is evolving and changing. And thanks to digital distribution, smaller teams and new creators are finding incredible success. Take a look at this list from Game Discover of the top 10 best-selling new games on Steam so far this year. 2 of them are considered, big company games, but the other 8 come from indie, mid-sized teams or solo developers. I look at this list, it's pretty cool, right? And I get inspired that new ideas, new teams, and smaller creators can and will break through. It's a reminder to big companies that they have to treat their developers right because today there are many paths to sustainability and success, and that's what makes this industry so great.
So I think the way Geoff phrased this was actually really clever because he wasn't appealing to the conscience of executives, because generally speaking, many of them don't have one. But you can appeal to their hey, want to make some more money, And I think his comments are actually kind of related to what Matt Booty said in that behind closed door session after Tango Gameworks got closed. And he's like, we need small games for prestige and awards. And it's like, no, man, you need small games because small games can sell absolute gangbusters and they cost a fraction of what it makes to make the next fucking Halo or Gears of War, right? So I think Geoff was actually quite smart in terms of how he's phrased this because he's like, layoffs suck and big studios, pay attention because small games can actually be really successful and there are lots of paths to success. So I thought that was quite shrewd on his behalf. So yeah. Anyway, games, let's talk about them. We'll divide this into 3 sections. We're not gonna talk about everything in the showcase because my goal will be here forever. We're gonna do the smaller stuff, we're gonna do the kind of medium stuff, and then we're gonna do the heavy hitters. We're just gonna focus on what's interesting to talk about. These are show highlights, it's not absolutely everything. So let's take a quick look at some of the smaller announcements that I thought really stood out. Okay, so this one I think is actually a pretty good one to get kicked off with. It's kind of like Braveheart Simulator in all but name. Take a look. So this one's called Tears of Metal, and it's very unashamedly just like doing the whole Braveheart thing, which I'm totally fine with. The soundtrack is actually really cool. The visuals look kind of gritty, but in a charming sort of way that I'm kind of into. So yeah, there's no date for this one yet, but it's from a studio called Paper Cult. It is self-published, and it looks pretty nice. Battle Crush looks kind of interesting. It reminds me a lot of what Stunlock Studios used to do before they moved on to Vampire, or V Rising it is actually. Yeah, it's just like an isometric brawler kind of thing. We haven't had one of these games in a while. It's from NCSoft though, so that's I don't know about that to be honest, we'll see. So yeah, Battle Crush out June 27th this year. This next one looks really interesting actually. It's called Mecha Break. It's got a closed beta coming up in August. It's from an independent studio that's self-publishing the title. They're called Amazing Season. It's just one of those old school, mech combat games where 2 mechs just duke it out, focus on multiplayer action. The mech designs are actually done by a guy called Takayuki Yanase, who's done work on Armored Core and Metal Gear, as well as a guy called Junya Ishigaki, who's worked on Gundam and Gundam and Gundam, like just a lot of Gundam, which you can totally tell in the designs. But I think this looks sick. I don't know, I'm not really sure how it's gonna land, how fun it'll be to play, whatever else. I'm not even sure if it'll get released in Australia, because the last time they released like a mech game, the Gundam thing, they just didn't bother to release it in Australia. So I don't know. Hopefully I get to play this one. That would be nice. They're remixing the Sonic games again, Sonic X Shadow Generations. This one actually got one of the largest cheers of the entire day. So like, people really love their Sonic remixes and remasters and re-releases and whatever else. So here's another one. It's a mix of 2D and 3D levels from Sonic and Shadow's history. It's got 3 hedgehogs, Sonic, Shadow, and Mecha Sonic. It's out on October 25th, and it's more Sonic. Hyper Light Breaker is one you should definitely have on your radar if you haven't. Let's take a quick look at it now. Yeah, so this is Hyper Light Breaker, the sequel to Hyper Light Drifter. That one obviously was 2D. This is full 3D. This studio actually made a 3D title before this as well. That was called Solar Ash. Really great game, particularly how it looked. Kind of had some like Shadow of the Colossus thing going on. So they cut their teeth on the 3D space with that. And now they're turning that skill set to their sort of like marquee franchise, Hyper Light. And it just looks really cool. This trailer here that we saw was actually for campaign, well, not campaign, but just like co-op in general. And it looks really nice. That's definitely on my radar. No date for this one yet, but it is around late summer. One shadow drop that you should definitely be paying attention to is Dark and Darker. Now, if you've been following the drama around this one, you would know that it's been an absolute hellish journey to get this game onto market, but it's finally here. It's basically like an extraction game, but in ye olde medieval times. And it's just blown up, despite the fact that it's kind of been delisted from Steam. It has been, has still done very well for itself. And now it's actually available on both Steam and the Epic Games Store. Huge following behind this one already. It is free to play, so you can just check it out really easily. I played a game very similar to this one that was basically like Dark and Darker in all but name, that was trying to capitalize on the fact that Dark and Darker wasn't on the Steam store. And that was really fun. So I anticipate that this will be even more fun, and you can find out for yourself right now. Outside of that, on the smaller end of the spectrum, there was just like a bunch of update announcements, like, oh, Honkai Star Rail is getting some new stuff, and the finals, season 3, and but yeah, just some general updates. Plus, Party Animals got a new trailer without really explaining what that was for. It was just like, party animals exist? I don't know. So there you go. But yeah, that was all the smaller stuff. So now let's talk about some of the bigger stuff that, definitely is going to generate a little more discussion. One of the more eye-catching reveals that certainly got Geoff quite excited was this one from the developer of Choo Choo Charles. Check it out. So Choo Choo Charles, if you hadn't seen it, was this really fucked up like train horror game where, like, imagine Thomas the Tank Engine was like scary and a giant spider, and he would follow you around this creepy island, okay? Cool game, very weird, whatever. This guy, he's actually gone on to make this new game called Cuff Bust. It's a 20-player co-op game with like PvEVP vibes. It's like a prison break simulator. There's jokes about picking up the soap in there, so it's kind of got that thing going on. It looks quite ridiculous, quite over the top, but it does look like a really good time. This one's not out anytime soon though. It's arriving 25th of May, 2025. We've got another look at Space Marine 2. It continues to look sick.
I will take you all with me.
I do believe the release date for this was already announced, but it is confirmed for September 9th this year. It's also got co-op, it's got multiplayer as well, like PvP stuff. It's got it all, man. It just looks absolutely sick, and I totally can't wait. I feel like it's been a long time since I heard the Power Rangers song, but when I heard it, I was like, fuck yeah, man. It's good to be back. This is called Power Rangers Reader's Rewind. It's on PC and consoles. It's like the old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle style 2D platformer thing, but with Power Rangers. And it supports 5-player co-op, which is really nice. And it does have some of the, mech stuff going on there as well, where you power range together. I literally have forgotten the terms now, it's been that long, but it looks fun. It looks like a good time. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I really wasn't expecting the tone for this trailer, so take a look at it.
The best laid plans of men don't always come to fruition. Man proposes, but God disposes. And then boots you right in the balls.
Now, if I'm remembering this correctly, Kingdom Come Deliverance was a pretty self-serious game, whereas this is not serious at all. It's kind of like very jokey. It's almost like buddy cop energy going on in this trailer. It really looks cool and fun, but it was a surprising tone. You can definitely see the visual uplift that's taken place here, like in terms of character models and facial animations. It looks absolutely a big step up. But yeah, bottom line, this studio has been working on this for many years, and that first game was like 50 to 60 hours long. This developer says that this game is way bigger than that, like a lot bigger. So I don't know how much we can expect. 80 to 100 hours. I wouldn't be at all surprised. This studio is really all in on that sort of stuff. The first one was fantastic. I mean, it had some problems with combat, but outside of that, really incredible game. So really keen for this one. It does arrive sometime this year. Killer Bean got a new trailer. It looks pretty damn fun, not gonna lie. Not much to say about it other than it looks like a good time, but yep, Killer Bean, it's on the way. Summer 2024 in early access. Can. Now, this is from the same people who made Fury, the absolutely awesome boss rush game that was like in isometric perspective and just an absolutely sick game. If you haven't played it, please go play that. They also made a game called Haven, which is more narrative led, like one of those sort of flow state games, kind of just vibing as you explore these big open areas, very colorful. This game is completely different. It is a climbing simulator, and they've sort of positioned it as a climbing survival game. Anyway, just take a look. Interestingly, we've had a few climbing games this year. We've had like a little indie one. We also had Jusant, which, well, that was actually last year, I believe, but really great game. This one though, very different kind of niche. It's definitely about surviving, and it's about setting up camp and managing your health and your stamina and all that sort of stuff. Just looks really cool, actually. Like this very much went onto like high on my watch list personally. This studio I really respect. This style of game looks really interesting. So yeah, no date yet, but it's for 2025. Dune Awakening got a new cinematic trailer here. Not much to talk about. It's kind of just like a what if story. Like what if Paul Atreides was never born, which, I guess fair enough. I do believe that this game just surpassed 1 million wishlist though. And yeah, I mean, this studio really knows how to make games set out in the desert. They're the people behind Conan Exiles, after all. Yeah, buzz is building for this one. There's no date for it yet, but it's on the way, and I don't know. I'm excited for it because I'm a massive Dune fan, so yeah, sign me up. Okay, this next one, really interesting. It's called Battle Aces, and what it is, it's an RTS game that is specifically made for people who find RTS games overwhelming, which, let's be real, is most of us at this point. Like when we were playing RTS games back in the day, we were all playing them and we were all practicing all the time and whatever else. But now, people who are interested in that genre don't want to go through all of that hassle. You know what I mean? Like that experience has not really been updated in like 30 years. So this guy, David Kim, who worked on StarCraft, is like basically saying, well, how about we redesign it to focus more on strategy and take away a lot of the like high APM requirements that come or that are needed to be good at these sorts of games. So this is Battle Aces, and it's from his studio, Uncapped Games, and the way he positioned it just seemed really appealing, to be honest with you. It's on the way to like consoles as well as PC. There's no date for it yet, but it definitely held my attention, and I think he did a really good job of pitching it. So yeah, it looks great. Tim Robinson showed up for some reason to just be Tim Robinson and just crush it as he was introing the new skate game. We didn't really know what it was about unless you're like I don't know, really into skate or whatever. I'm not. I'm a casual enjoyer. So I was like, what the fuck is this for? And I was just enjoying him doing his thing until all of a sudden they like cut back to the audience, and then they cut back to him being like, oh, it's a skate game.
Why would we hurt a town that rules? When people are saying that about M-Corp, that we're abandoning this town, that makes me sick. That makes my whole family sick to their stomachs. My wife hasn't been on the toilet for weeks because of what you're saying about what M-Corp's doing to this town, all those lies.
This one has been in development for a long ass time now, but it's looking really cool and interesting, and you can tell that they've just taken their time with it to make a great game. The big news out of this is that there's a console playtest this fall, which I'm assuming you can sign up for at some point now or soon. Yeah, Skate is coming, man. Finally, after all these years, we're getting a new Skate game. Not bad. Valorant is headed to consoles. This trailer was easily the longest trailer of the entire show. It was actually 2 trailers with 2 separate songs, and it just kept going and going and going. And while it was playing, I was just thinking about that $250,000 a minute thing, but then I remembered it's Riot and they have all the money in the universe, so they can handle it, right? But I mean, Valorant is obviously huge, and now it's coming to consoles, so enjoy yourself. The other thing, within this block of like interesting stuff, medium-sized stuff, was 2 initiatives that were kicked off. The first is Blumhouse Games. They're making a big push into video games, and the Blumhouse guy rocked up and he's like, hey, we want to take the same approach that we take to horror movies and we want to apply it to horror games. And just so you know, their approach is like, we're going to fund a bunch of smaller stuff, and some of it's going to suck, but some of it's going to be cool, and we're just going to be playful. And that's a really great model, I think, that has found a lot of success for them, and they're going to apply it here. And they're not just like talking about, oh, hey, we've got stuff in the works that's arriving 8 years from now. They literally had like 5 games that they showed off. Many of them looked really cool, and they're all apparently coming soon-ish. So yeah, that's a great push. Really liked that a lot. The other similar push was from Innersloth, who have kicked off their own publishing label called Outer Sloth. So these guys just basically came from out of nowhere and just found this absolutely humongous success, just completely outsized level of financial reward for what they were doing. Much respect to them, love to see it. And they're like, well, what can we do to give back? And so they're now gonna be just publishing some indie games, just helping to get them on the market. They've got stuff like Mars First Logistics, which I've played and is actually really cool. Battlesuit Aces, Mossfield Archive. They've got One Button Bosses. They've got Rogue Eclipse, which I've also seen and looks really cool. And then they've got Project Dosa, which is like a mech turn-based RPG thing from the person who did Thirsty Suitors. So yeah, that's a pretty massive lineup. And like respect to them for doing that, because again, similar to what we talked about at the top, these big companies don't realize that these games could actually be huge, like Among Us was, for example. But Among Us, like that, Innersloth believe in that vision because they exist on the back of that vision. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny that like these little studios need to set up these publishing labels because giant $3 trillion companies are unwilling to kick in a few cents to like a few cents in the dollar, whatever, to help out the indie scene. But I'm glad someone's doing it, so respect. All right, so that's sort of the medium-sized stuff. Let's talk about the big hitters now, the big headline grabbers, the AAA stuff, the money makers, right? Let's check them out now. First cab off the rank and first reveal of the show actually was this one.
Hey, neat costume. I gotta get me one of those. Ooh, sandwich.
So this was absolutely not surprising because this was earlier leaked, like we knew this was coming for sure. And it's like a Lego Horizon game. It's called Lego Horizon Adventures. It's I don't know. Yeah, Lego Horizon. The Lego stuff's always fun. It's always fun for a bit. I enjoy it quite a bit, actually. Like the Lego Star Wars game was really fantastic, just for its scale and whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. Yeah, I mean, Horizon, I like Horizon. I like Horizon more than most people, by the way. But I'm surprised that they're going with that IP for this game. Like, I don't know. Like if you were to do a Lego God of War game, I could really see a lot of people getting in behind that one. Do you know what I mean? Like a Lego Bloodborne game, that would piss people the fuck off, but it would sell a lot of units, right? Lego Horizon, I don't know. I find there's not a lot of affection for the Horizon franchise, but maybe this is a play to like increase that. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we haven't really seen much at this point, but we'll see. It's out sometime this year, no date yet. But what is fascinating is that it's also coming to Switch. And this is the first time, and PC. Sony have said very clearly that they plan to put their live service games on PC at the beginning, like the same time. They said their exclusives are going to stay on their own platform first, and then they've got this that goes onto Switch. Now, obviously, this is a very different caliber of exclusive versus, Ghost of Tsushima 2 or the next God of War game, if there is one, whatever, right? But interesting that they're moving into that space. Makes a lot of sense though, because there's 150 million Switches out there, and this kind of game that's aimed at young people, this is, yeah. So you can understand why they've made this move. I don't think it signals a broader Switch pivot where we're gonna start seeing every PlayStation game come to Switch. I think that's highly unlikely, but for a game like this, it does make a little bit of sense. It makes a lot of sense. We now know why there was no Quidditch in the Harry Potter game that came out. It's because they were making a separate Harry Potter game. This one's called Quidditch Champions. It's coming to all platforms, and it's a Quidditch game. We didn't see any actual gameplay, it was just cinematic reveal here, but it's available day one on PlayStation Plus on the 3rd of September. Very happy for you, Harry Potter people. Enjoy yourselves. A new Civilization game was revealed at the show. This one was actually earlier leaked because they uploaded like a banner image and then had to quickly take it down. But yeah, it's Civ 7. It's more Civ. The trailer that we saw here was just a CG trailer, kind of just showing humanity throughout the ages or whatever else. Not a lot to go with here. But yeah, there's another Civ coming sometime next year. Similarly, Black Myth Wukong got a cinematic trailer. Really nothing to speak of here. The date is locked in for August 20th. It's coming to PC and PS5. Great looking trailer, but didn't really show us anything new. So yeah, that's it. Except he did the thing with the... That was sick. By far and away, one of the best trailers at the showcase was this one for Metaphor Refantatio. Take a look.
It is said that we all have inherited heroic virtues deep within us. The reality is, we oppress, we fight.
So to be clear, this is made by Atlas, the studio behind the Persona series, and it's being led by the Persona Brains Trust. Like the people who are most responsible for the Persona games, they are making this thing. This is their next game, and it looks just absolutely incredible. The art design here is out of control. I've gushed over the UI many times before, but every time I see it, it's the same thing. It just totally blows me away. What other game has the UI blow you away? Like none, it's just this. They revealed that there are actually 40 of these archetypes in the game, which is essentially what you transform into, kind of like your personas or whatever else. But it just looks sick, man. It really does. It's just looking absolutely superb. It's coming to all platforms bar Switch on October 11th, and yeah, it just looks fantastic. Geoff Keighley announced that there was a new Batman Arkham game coming, and when he then said that it's a Meta Quest 3 exclusive, the audience was like, oh, like that's really. that happened. So yeah, it's a bummer. Look, I don't know. Who knows how this will land? Most people don't have VR headsets. Most people don't like to play in VR. But hey, it's cool that they're making interesting VR games. Hopefully this one is a good one. It's coming sometime fall this year. Slid Ahead is one you should absolutely have on your radar. It's from the person who created Silent Hill. His name is Keiichi Toyama. He's got a new studio that's staffed by a bunch of Silent Hill veterans, and this is what they are making. From the looks of it, it's kind of about like possessing different people to fight these weird, like scary flesh monster things. And there's a big focus on action. Like this is definitely not a survival horror. There's like a weird move where this guy like fucking, his hand gets like disconnected and he kind of slingshots it back, and there's a blood minigun in there, and it just looks very sick. Like it looks totally weird and out of the box, and I don't know. It looks kind of janky, you know, like in a weird, like it definitely doesn't look AAA. It looks AA at best. But that almost adds to its charm, because just thinking about like the guy who made Silent Hill is making this weird fucked up game on like a shoestring budget, just piecing together what he can. I'm down for that, you know? So this one's coming out on the 8th of November for PC, PS5, PS4, and Xbox. The Alan Wake 2 DLC was revealed. It's called Night Springs. It looks incredible. Take a look.
I'm in danger. Please, my #1 fan. You're the only one who can save me.
And I will come back for you, my love.
And cut. Sean, I'm really happy.
This is gonna get strange.
So as you might have noticed, this is not a direct continuation of the story of Alan Wake 2. It is instead just kind of like spin-off stories featuring characters from other games and weird side characters that only had like 2 minutes of airtime and whatever else, but it just looks silly and playful, and like it looks like Remedy had a lot of fun making this, leaning into the quirky side of their equation, because they've got the whole kind of like horror thing, and then they've got the weird quirk thing going on, and they went full quirk here, and it just looks sick and fun. And what's best is that it's actually out right now, so you can just go and check that out. Plus, there's a physical edition coming as well, which was a big point of contention because the publisher Epic Games and Remedy, they didn't put out a physical version, but now there is physical deluxe and collector's edition coming towards the end of the year, which is fantastic. Monster Hunter Wilds got another trailer here as well. Not a lot to show here, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just a nice trailer. It's like cinematic, whatever. They promised that we're going to see another trailer at Gamescom. That's where I think we'll see some proper, gameplay revealed. Phantom Blade Zero is what the show ended on, and it continues to look rather excellent. So yeah, take a look. This one was revealed a little while ago and kind of stole the show, and it still just looks really great. And yeah, it looks very fast paced. I'm very interested to get my hands on this one to see how this actually plays, because it looks so fast that it's like, well, what is this video game? Like, how do you actually make it work like that, But, they said it was all gameplay, so fair enough, that's cool. Probably the most interesting reveal, I don't know, for me personally, Star Wars Outlaws looks pretty good. And I know a lot of people don't like Star Wars Outlaws, fair enough. Certainly, a lot of the shit they pulled around like pre-order bonuses and the price of the game and the single player paywall shit, definitely, that's bullshit, obviously, as we've covered in the show before. But at the same time, the people who are making the video game, it looks like they've made a pretty cool looking video game, I think.
A friend needs a little something stolen.
Let's raise the stakes, shall we?
I know it's cool to hate on Star Wars and be like, oh, I'm over Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, part of me's over Star Wars too, absolutely. But part of me isn't, and this is definitely speaking to the part of me that isn't. And I don't know, Massive, they're a good studio. They put out good stuff, they really do. And hopefully if Ubisoft's paywalling stuff doesn't hurt the experience, then hopefully this will be cool. I'm personally quite looking forward to this. After being skeptical of initial reveals, this trailer really was like, all right, cool. I'm interested to see more. So that was the Summer Games Fest. And like I said, it was long. It was too long. We really could have done with less stuff. This felt like a PC game showcase. And there weren't even that many ads. Like there were some ads, for, I don't know, Discover Card or some shit, or like Samsung got a couple of ads in there, that fucking awful chicken ad game with, I can't believe they got that many people. I can't imagine how, anyway, whatever. Point is, it was long and we could have cut it down quite a bit, I think. But I do appreciate the fact that Geoff profiled a number of smaller titles. And I know as well, all this talk about, hey, it's $250 a minute to be in this showcase, that's for the people who are paying. Whereas Geoff does bring in quite a few games that don't pay anything, smaller titles that he just wants to profile. He wants to use his platform to profile. And I like that, I respect that a lot. But yes, it definitely could have been briefer. Geoff set expectations for this. When earlier before the show, he said, set your expectations. He didn't say set them low, but he kind of said something along the lines of lower your expectations. And yeah, that was useful guidance, I think, because while I'm glad that this existed, and I'm glad that I saw some of the stuff that I saw, on balance, definitely one of the less interesting shows that we've seen in the past. And I think general feedback to Geoff is make it a bit shorter next time. Anyway, that's what I thought. I'm gonna be going hands-on with a number of games that were shown at this showcase, and also some other ones that are gonna be shown at future showcases. So it's a big week ahead. I'm looking forward to updating you on all of that. But yeah, let me know what you thought about the showcase below. Interested to hear your thoughts. I know it's pretty negative sentiment out there, but I don't know, what do you think? Was there something that really stuck out to you? Was there a game that you really enjoyed? Any feedback for Geoff? I don't know if Geoff watches these videos, but if he does, you can give him feedback in the comment section. But that's it. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll be back very soon with more Summer Games coverage. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Toward the back end of last year, I started using this video sponsor, Brilliant, and I gotta say, it's been, well, brilliant. Here's the deal. We're always trying to stay in shape, invest time in our relationships that matter to us, keep up to date with the TV and movies people are talking about, endlessly troll social media for memes and hot takes, but how often do we take a moment to learn something new, sharpen our brain, or figure out how something actually works? That's exactly what Brilliant is. Now, you might have heard of Brilliant before. They provide really accessible, really interactive ways to learn about things like science, mathematics, engineering, computer science, and more. It's really interesting to me because growing up, I was always drawn to the arts and I kind of shut my brain off to a lot of STEM stuff. But the older I got, I was like, I would actually really like to understand how GPS works. Not because I need to know, just because it's interesting. That's where Brilliant comes in. They have courses big and small, simple and in-depth, all of them illuminating something that seemed at first impenetrable, but really you just needed someone to explain it to you properly. Or you needed to learn by doing, which is another thing that Brilliant excels at, since its courses almost always contain some interactive element that lets you test your learning on the spot. This stuff isn't just interesting, by the way, it can also be useful. If you work in data programming, then the stuff you learn here can help you be better at your job. And just having a sharper, more curious mind is always going to hold you in good stead no matter what you're doing. One thing I really like is that Brilliant kind of gamifies your learning, breaking your progress down into manageable chunks, giving you experience points and achievements for completing courses, and gradually upping the complexity as you get more proficient in a topic. Best of all, they've got a mobile app, allowing you to log in and start learning whenever you've got a spare 5 to 10 minutes. Sure, you could boot up a mobile game, and I absolutely do that, but now I also boot up Brilliant from time to time. I find it just as fun and interesting, and it's actually useful. You can try Brilliant for free for 30 days by visiting brilliant.org/skillup, where you'll also be able to get 20% off an annual premium subscription. That's brilliant.org/skillup. Thanks Brilliant for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.